Okay, we're going to make this position stop, which is 2.5 inches tall and 4 inches wide. We're going to use a standard part, English units. So let's get in here and begin our sketch. It's going to be a two-dimensional sketch for the first part. We're going to draw on the XY plane, and let's just grab the line tool and draw out the general shape. And what you can do is I think you can just click right here and then type in 4, and it will automatically put your first line and dimension in there. And we can come under here and hit zoom all so we can get all the way back over there. Hit escape, and now you can see that it already did the first one. And it's fully defined. Um, that's good, but then we want to go up here 2.5 inches to the top. This probably needs to be a construction line because it doesn't need to go all the way up there. So we won't worry about it being a construction line just yet. We'll just go up here. We'll come across over here. And then we want to make sure that we end directly above there and also be horizontal as well. All right, let's make all of this fully defined by, I guess, grabbing the dimension here. And we want to make that right there 2.5 inches. Now, I guess this is where I was going to come back over here and make these construction lines because there is a corner up here. So what we can do on that case is make sure we're off of the dimensions. So we escape for that, I guess. Click on this and let's look for the construction line. You can see that's it right there. Turns it into a dotted line there, and also here. So now we can draw in the shapes that we want. So we go like this. And then we go across like this. And of course, it can be just hand drawn here to begin with, and then we'll make it solid after that, or fully constrained rather. All right, so plane connect the dots there. That's way out of shape, but that's okay. We come in here and we start constraining things. We want the distance of this one right here. Let's see if it'll let me do only that one. Looks like it's trying to do the whole dotted line. That's okay. If we select it right here and do it, that might do it. Or we can just click on that point here and that point on there, and then bring that up and say 1.25. Now we want these other two distances over here, this one right here and that one right there, to be the same. Okay, I was trying to get out of that one and try to move it around a little bit and hit escape until I can move it. There we go. We can even grab this point and move it over here and make it look closer to what we're looking for in our diagram over here. Now we can see over here that this is 1.75 all the way up to where it starts going to an angle. So we can dimension, and here you can see that it's trying to select that dotted line right there. So let's see if we can just instead click on the point and the point and then bring that off over here. That needs to be 1.75 like so. And then we can start hitting escape to get off of there. So that way we can position these to make sure that our diagram is starting to look like this one over here. All right, now what we can do is also make this one the same height. Instead of putting another dimension in there though, the standard process for engineering design is to click them both using control. And then what we want to do is make those equal. Is this the equal one? That actually says parallel. So you have to hover over them sometimes to find the equal ones. And so now we're down to just one unknown dimension here. So let's see, what are some possible things that we can do here? I guess what we can do is make these two links equal, and that will probably constrain everything that we need. So if we click here and there with a shift click or a control click, I think it's control click actually. So click and then control click, and it says already constrained. Oh, great. So it looks like I already made it equal. Let me undo that. So I actually clicked on the equal sign. I was still there, and I want to make those two equal. And look at that. It's fully constrained. All right. So that's, minimum a number of dimensions, as you can see here. And let's hit escape to get out of the equal mode so we can move these things around. Minimum number of dimensions, we're just using constraints instead. Now remember, if you right click on this and you can say show all constraints, it shows things that are equal, things that are perpendicular, and so forth. Right click again, and I think we can say hide all constraints like that to make it a little cleaner picture. Let's line up where the holes are going to be before we extrude this out. So it looks like it's going to be 3/4 of an inch in from each corner. So let's see, what if we go and just draw a random circle? We don't want any of these locks to take place like that right there. It just really needs to be floating out here in the middle of nowhere. You could say that these are going to be in alignment with each other, but um, and you also saw that it automatically tried to make it a center alignment there. So we want to make sure there's no dotted lines when we do this. Then we can start constricting it. We want the diameter of that to be 5 or wait, 0.5. And you can see the little circle with a line through it, meaning 1/2 inch. You could, since this one's not labeled, you could just select equal sign right here and say, I want this one to be equal to that one right there in diameter. Now we also need to make their positions known or defined. So let's go back to dimensions and click those two. So we're going to go from here to there. Oops. Let's hit dimension. And maybe we can go from this line to that point right there, come off to the side, 0.75. And then we can do the same thing in the other direction. We can click on this line, that point, then come down here, 0.75 again. Now you notice it's showing more significant digits here than it is over here. And we will maybe at the end of this reduce the number of digits past the decimal. It seems to be inconsistent over here. Sometimes it's 1 past the decimal, sometimes it's 2. We'll try to be consistent in Inventor. Now, one of the things that I like to do is to make sure that the greatest one is outside of this. But before we do that, let's go ahead and finish up this one. So we're still in dimension mode, and we go here to there, and then that needs to be 0.75. And then we go from here over to there, and that needs to be 0.75. All right, are we fully defined now? Yes, so it's looking really good. But now we need to clean up everything. So let's hit escape to get out of the dimension mode and start pulling the biggest dimensions out this way, and then the smaller dimensions toward the middle. Going to use standard approach to engineering design problems, and that is having bigger dimensions on the outside so that there's fewer crossing lines, making it easier on the eye. Okay, it is kind of implied that these are the same diameter. When you have two circles there and there's some symmetry, although it's not labeled, it is implied. And of course, you can hit F8 to see that, this one is equal to that one right there as well. And then F9 takes it away. That's the same thing as doing show all constraints. All right, one more circle. We're going to go up 1.25, and then we need to get into the midpoint right here. All right, so let's just draw a circle arbitrarily out there in space. And then you can see that it has almost a midpoint right here. I wonder if we could just maybe draw a construction line to help us out. So see if it'll lock into the midpoint there. See how it turns green right there? That looks to be a midpoint. One way to tell for sure is if when I put this in there, if it turns black, then that means that I did hit the midpoint. Otherwise, it's floating left and right. Now we want to turn that into a construction line, so we'll go up here and do that. And then we want to make this one coincident with that guy there. So I did a control click on that one, and then I look for coincident. And it's not black yet, probably because I don't have the vertical position known. And so when you're uncertain about what the two constraints are, you can start doing two things. One of them is to try to move it around, and the other one is to try to resize it. So you can see that we can move it and resize it. So those are the 2 degrees of freedom. But we know what to do, right? Just grab the dimension, going from here to there, then going off to the side. Fortunately, that's going to land out in a nice spot, 1.25. And then also on the radius right here, they're going to want that to be 1.25 in diameter. So you see they have the thing drawn all the way across here, whereas over here you see a circle with a line through it for diameter. This one looks to be a little bit out of position, or at least covered up, so we're going to move that down after we'd escape to get out of that mode. It is a fully defined drawing, so now what we can do is go into the 3D model and extrude that. And of course, what we want to do, extrude came up on the other window, is we want to extrude this out a quarter of an inch out. Okay, now it looks like I started clicking before I noticed where I was typing. So there's 0.25. Let's just hit that right there to see if it'll show us a preview. If we click on it, hopefully it'll come out just a little bit like that. And then like so. Then what we can do is we want to save it so that it's in the isometric view. So before you save this one and upload it to D2L, click right here so that it looks very much like this. This is going to get us into the isometric view. Okay, let me check and see a couple of things here. One of them I was going to see, can you make it show all the dimensions? And I think there was another question too. Let me pause the video. Okay, now if we want to show dimensions on this, we go over here to the extrusion, and we go over here to annotate, and we say promote dimensions. Let's hover over that before we do that to see what it says here. So if we're hovering over promote dimensions, it says create 3D annotations from the selected sketch. So selected this object here, promote dimensions, and it says to select the geometry. So let's try to select that one there. And the problem I see here is that the numbers are going to be on the back side of this. So either we need to flip the drawing around. Um, let's go ahead and say OK, select dimensions here. So here, remote dimensions, select the object like that. And usually it automatically selects that one. So let me pause the video. Okay, now what just happened while I had the recording off is that Autodesk crashed. So that's going to, of course, teach me a lesson here. So I'm just going to do the whole thing again, and I'll do it much quicker this time. And you could, of course, fast forward through this video if you don't want to see the different way. Here, I'm just drawing out the general shape like that, all the way back. Before I get too far along, though, I do want to tell it that the dimensions of that one right there is 4. Now it goes way off in that direction. So what we can also do is go ahead and say the dimension from there down to there is 2.5. And it starts to get a little bit bigger. So we can go like this and say zoom all. Let's see if that's going to work out well for us. You can see that it's just all over the place, but that's okay. We get out of the dimension mode by hitting escape, and then we can just start moving things around, like pull this up over here and then pull this over this way if it will let us. If not, that's okay. We can still change the dimensions of that one right there to make it look a little bit closer to what it's supposed to, 1.25. And we're going to see if this is going to be a quicker way to do it. So if we click on this one, not for dimensioning, but click with Control and make those two equals. Does that help out a little bit? And it makes a mess out of it. So what we can do instead is say this one and this one need to be equal. And so the order of operations can make a difference. So if we want this one to be equal to that one, and we want this one to be equal to that one. Okay, and then of course it's undefined because if we get out of it in equal mode, we'll see that there's still a unknown height right there. So then we just come in here and we say that the dimensions of this one right here is 1.75. Now, before we get too far along, this is where we want to save. So go File, Save As, and it needs to kind of finish that process first. We're going to always save on our desktop. So let's go to Desktop and then locate the Engineering 2310 class, Chapter 2. And this is going to be part or problem. I think part might be good enough for what we're doing throughout the rest of this. So we can just say this one's 2.3. So you don't have to say problem. In fact, I'll probably go up in there and call it parts instead. So let's go ahead and save that right there before we get too far away. That way we don't lose our work in the process. Then to start drawing on this surface again, come over here to Sketch, and you can start, say, editing the sketch. And I like how it just faces that for you. Draw in our circles just randomly. Hopefully I didn't get a constraint in there. When these dotted lines appear, I kind of worry about that. And of course, dimension here. is 0.5. And then we want that one to be equal to the other one. So we hit equals there, there. We want the dimension on this one to be 1.25 for the diameter. Then we just start laying out where the other ones are. So from right there down to here, let's see, 0.75. Then from here over to here, 0.75. And am I fully defined yet? Looks like I still need two more dimensions. It probably has to do with the location of this one. So I will say 1.25 there. Is that right? And then we need to make this one in the middle. What we could do is, well, it doesn't say that, it doesn't give us a 2-inch distance there. So it looks like we really have to go in and make our construction line. It's not much different than the way I did it previously. Let's escape, select that object, make it a construction line, and then we want to line this one up here. So I did a shift click. Let's see if that's going to do it. Yeah, I guess shift click and control click work. Then of course we need to clean up all of our dimensions. So let's get out of that coincident mode. Usually click it again, but I'm just going to keep hitting escape to do that. And just like we have said before, you want to pull these dimensions out so it looks pretty. And hopefully this will make it look good when we start to show it in the isometric view. This time I'm going to show you, oh, right. And the other thing is, I got to make sure I'm saving pretty often here. So I'm going to go up here and save. So just constantly saving there. But I don't like how it kind of gets out of edit mode when you do that, but oh well. And that looks pretty good there, over here. Okay, now I've got back to where we wanted. But what I'm going to do now is extrude it the other way so that these dimensions are going to be on the front of the drawing. So that's what I was trying to get to before it crashed last time. So instead of extruding out this way by a dimension or a distance of, oh, that kind of locked in there. I didn't really want that. 0.25 like that. And I hit enter too soon. So let's right click and say edit. And instead of, oh, I was editing the sketch, excuse me. So let me hit finish like there. I really need to edit the extrusion because what I want it, oh yeah, edit the feature. So instead of going this way, I want it to go back the other direction so that all of these dimensions are on their front face. Let's see if it worked. So go like that. Then we select our extrusion right there, go over to annotation and click on promote dimensions. It's going, what object do you want to look at? And you go extrusion, and then you click OK, hopefully. Now, I thought it was just going to pull in all of these. Can I hit Control A to get it to do all of those? I was hoping it was just bring all of them in. So select dimension. So I guess we can pull all of them in, but I really, a moment ago, I got it to the point where it says, do you want to pull all 13 in? And looks like it's doing 12. Did I miss one? Maybe right there. Let's see if it'll pull all of them in when I do it that way. That's not great. I'll see if I can figure out how to make it um, look a little bit better. Let's see if we can, first of all, decrease the font size because that looks a little bit big. Okay, so let's not worry about the font size. Let's just make sure we have isometric view, make sure all of the dimensions are visible. I saw something cutting through here which said 0 degrees. If you find a dimension that you don't really need to define the part, you can just click on it like this and then hit the delete key. But all of those should be good right there. So let's go File, Save As, and make sure we save it to the Chapter 2 folder on our desktop under Engineering 2310 and call it Part 203. All right, that'll be all for this one.